Rigby's Roads, Chapter 6. Never judge a book by its cover. When Jack arrived home, he proudly showed off his card and diploma to Yogi. Yogi was pleased, but quickly changed the subject. "I've been checking out this IRS agent of yours. I think I may have found his personal problem with you. Read this." He pointed to an obituary on the computer screen. The obit was for Lynn Bolton. Jack struggled. Lynn Bolton. I know that name from somewhere. Yogi told him. "Read on, all the way at the bottom." He read ahead. "And is survived by her father, Lou Paxton. I don't understand. What does this have to do with me?" Yogi spoke slowly, waiting for Jack to pick up on it. "July 20th, 1998, the accident that killed your wife. Lynn Bolton was the other driver that was killed. She was Paxton's daughter." Jack spoke in a defending tone, now remembering too painfully. "But the police report said a speeding car pulled out in front of the other car, causing her to swerve into M's car. That wasn't M's fault," Yogi explained. "Yes, I know that, but I found the obit on the speeding driver who died after crashing into a tree, and he had no family. Paxton is still looking for revenge, and you're the only game left in town. I can't help you with this one. Your problem isn't with the IRS. It's with Paxton, and you need to go to his boss. It sounds like this guy's still hurting really bad, and he's taking it out on you." The doorbell rang, and Jack answered the door. It was Henry, his goofy neighbor, wearing one of his many famous hats. Every time Jack saw him, he was wearing a different hat that had a funny saying on it. Henry told him that his family buys him hats for Christmas, his birthday, and Father's Day. Henry was about 5'6", with thin hair that he combed across his balding head. He had a scraggly beard and had a beer belly, even though he hardly drank beer. "Hey, Yogi," Jack called out. "There's someone here I want you to meet." Yogi approached the door, and Jack did the introductions. Henry gave his usual greeting, a long, drawn-out "Hello," like he was a parrot with a new word. Yogi started laughing at Henry's hat. It had two words on top of each other. The top word was hoof, and the bottom word was arted. Yogi smiled. "Great hat." "Yogi's staying with me for a couple of days," he informed him. "Nice to meet you," Henry said. "I was wondering if I could borrow a really small drill bit." "Sure, come on out to the garage." When they walked into the garage, Henry saw the Harley. "Wow, is this yours?" "Yeah, I got it the other day. I passed my driving class today, and tomorrow I will take my motorcycle driver's test for the DMV. Did you ever ride?" "Me? No. Marge wouldn't let me. You know my record with anything mechanical." "Yes, I do," Jack replied, knowing Henry's accident-prone behavior way too well. "So what size drill bit do you need?" That one on the end, the smallest one. Can I borrow your drill and the extension cord too?" "Sure, but be careful." "Thanks, Jack. I'll get these back to you by tomorrow." After Henry left, Yogi handed Jack two folders, one for Paxton and one for Richard Marshall. Each had printouts of everything Yogi found online. Jack appreciated the work and effort Yogi had put into his problems and decided to give something back. He schooled Yogi on brainstorming, thinking outside of the box, and finding creative answers to problems. He felt like he was back in the groove again. He wondered how much of this past week had already been planned by Wheels and Yogi to boost his self-confidence. They had his suicide note, and they knew everything that bothered him. Yogi was slowly making these problems go away. First, Yogi took complete charge of Jack's life, and then Jack started to stand up for himself and take exception to the way the kid handled things, and that helped pull him back into the game of life. If that was their plan, it sure was working to perfection. Later, Yogi called him to the back window that overlooked Henry's backyard. Henry was sitting on the ground, drilling holes into his garden hose. "What's he doing?" Yogi asked. Jack shook his head. "Don't ask. That's just Henry being Henry." Jack continued teaching Yogi, sharing the various ways of dissecting information using mind maps, relationship diagrams, and three-dimensional drawings. Yogi absorbed the lessons as the tables were turned from the previous lessons of last week. A sudden crash caught their attention, and they looked out the window again. Henry had finished drilling holes in the hose, had the water turned on, and was standing in the middle of his yard, swinging the hose round and round over his head in an attempt to water his lawn. The end of the hose, that was plugged up with a baseball and duct tape, got loose and crashed into Henry's kitchen window. But the crash didn't stop him as he continued to swing his new watering apparatus until his arms were tired. Jack and Yogi looked at each other and fell to the floor, laughing hysterically. Later that night, Yogi called Jack into the den and pointed to the TV. "Jack, listen to this part and remember it. It was The Godfather, Part 2. Michael Corleone talking to Frankie Pentangeli."
My father taught me many things here. He taught me in this room. He taught me, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
Remember that, Jack. Keeping your enemies closer is the key to changing the tide of conflict. Say something nice about somebody you don't like, behind their back, but within earshot so they can hear it. Flatter your enemies. Take down that wall of mistrust. The next time somebody gangs up on you or pisses you off, remember the Godfather's words of wisdom. It was Monday morning, and Jack had the whole week off. He was the first in line at the DMV to take his written test for his motorcycle license. He aced it. Today, he will be taking his Harley on the road for the first time. But now, he was off to Wheels dealership, Roaring Wheels, to sign his paperwork for the bike and to pick up a few accessories. It was his first time in a Harley dealership. The showroom was not only filled with motorcycles, it was a clothing store as well. Harley Davidson shirts, jackets, socks, boots, raincoats were displayed everywhere. They had Christmas ornaments, headbands, helmets, watches, and coffee cups that had the Harley name on it. If you liked chrome, you quickly realized that you were in chrome heaven as the motorcycles shined from the overhead lights. Wheels spotted him in the showroom and approached him. "So what do you think, Jack?" "I think you make more money selling clothes and accessories than you do with the bikes themselves. This stuff is expensive." "It's quality product, Jack. And you have the great eye for marketing. Don't you know what HD stands for? $100. Because a lot of things you need cost about $100. Good boots, $100. Bike bag, $100. Good jacket?" he asked Jack. $100? Jack asked. "No, $400. Wheels raised his hand and waved over one of his employees. "Jack, this is Paul, my shop foreman." "Hi, Jack. We met last week at your house on the poker run." "Oh, yeah, I met so many people there. I'm sorry. Paul, was it? Don't you have a nickname?" "Actually, I do. It's 5/8, after the wrench size." Wheels added, "Paul can put his finger on any size nut or bolt, US or metric, and tell you the size without looking at it. So we named him 5/8. Paul will be going over your bike with you for this is your bike routine. Come see me when you're done." Paul walked Jack to a Sportster on the showroom floor that was similar to Jack's. For the next 20 minutes, Paul went over each part and function of the Sportster, explaining in great detail the purpose and relationship of one part to another. Paul continued, "This is where you check the oil. This is your gas valve, on, off, reserve. Don't drive over 50 for the first 50 miles, and don't go beyond 2,500 RPMs. During the braking period, from 50 to 500 miles, don't go over 55 or 3,000 RPMs. If you have any questions, ask Mom. That's your motorcycle operating manual. It's 214 pages specifically about your Sportster, full of tidbits from fuse replacement to suspension adjustments. Read it cover to cover and never miss a maintenance check. Bring it in for the 1,000-mile checkup. Ride safe and keep the shiny side up. Any questions?" "No, I think I got it. Thanks." Paul turned and scanned the shop and waved over a tall woman with red hair, tight jeans, and a small halter top with a Harley logo written across her chest. She was a knockout. "Jack, this is Red. She'll help you with your accessories." "Hello, Jack, and congratulations on becoming a member of the Harley family. Wheels says you will need a full setup. Follow me and I'll get you started. Red took him to the t-shirt area. Pick out one. It's free when you buy a new bike. Jack laughed to himself. Spend $11 grand and get a free t-shirt. What a concept. All the t-shirts had Roaring Wheels Denver, Colorado on the back. Great gimmick. You become a driving billboard for the place where you bought your bike. But his case was different. His ride was free. And so it was with great pleasure that he picked out his own Harley t-shirt. Red looked down at his feet. What size shoe you wear? 12. Oh, you're a big boy, aren't you? She replied with a smile that could melt stone. He was enjoying his personal moments with the flirty Red. He picked out a pair of ankle-length boots. They were $99, and they were the most comfortable boots he had ever worn. They were as comfortable as his sneakers. He picked out a pair of gloves hesitantly, and Red noticed his facial expression of doubt. You have a question about the gloves? I don't know. I guess I don't fit the image of a glove-wearing biker, especially in the summer, Red informed him. The gloves will protect your knuckles from bugs and also from rocks that pop up from any vehicles in front of you. But more importantly, they will give you a better grip, something you will definitely notice. But what about those gloves with no fingers on them? Some customers like them, especially in the summer. Some feel they give you a tougher look, but I recommend these full gloves. These are covered with tiny holes to let your hands and fingers breathe. You can always make a change on your next pair if you want. It's important to always choose safety over looks, Jack. It's the smarter choice. Now let's go pick out a nice helmet. We have full helmets that completely surround your face with chin protection, 3/4 helmets that cover your head but without the chin protection, and half helmets that look like a bowl on your head. He tried on the full-face helmet first. It was snug, but he felt claustrophobic. He hesitantly asked Red if he could try on the 3/4 helmet, as if he was looking for Red's okay to choose less safe, and she caught his uneasiness. Red assured him, most people choose the 3/4. That's what I wear. Jack was surprised. You ride? Yes, Jack. We all ride. This is not just a job for me. It's my life. I'm not here to sell you things you don't want or don't need. My satisfaction comes from knowing I've helped my family members be safe and happy by supporting them the best I can. And now you're part of my family, Jack, the Harley Davidson family. There's more to it than owning a Harley. There's the environment of the mystique, the camaraderie, family. It will soon hit you, and when it does, embrace it for all it has to offer. It will change your life. He picked out a nice 3/4 black helmet that fit like it was made for him. It had 2 tiny vent holes at the top that could be opened or closed to allow air to circulate inside. He also picked out a less expensive second helmet for passengers. Red gave him 2 face shields. One was tinted dark for daytime, and the other was clear for night rides. Next, Red took him to the jackets. They were unbelievable. Snug-fitting sleeves, zippered vents you could open in the front and back to actually let a good breeze run through the jacket while riding. It had a removable liner, pockets galore, plus padded elbows and shoulder pads. Red told him, the leather jackets are not just for looks, but rather if you should go down, you want the best protection from road rash that you can get. Paul came over and whispered in Red's ear. Then she turned to Jack. We'll look at the jackets later. Wheels wants to see you up in his office now. You can leave these things with me, and I'll put them aside for you. He thanked Red for her expertise and went to Wheels' office upstairs. Wheels was on the phone, but waved him in and motioned him to sit down. Wheels continued with his phone conversation. I want it delivered to Grizzly Rose after the guests arrive. What does the plaque say? Okay, great. Robert will see you in a few weeks. Take care. Bye. Wheels looked at Jack. What are you doing August 17th? It's a Saturday night. I don't know. Why? We're having a special event, and I want you to be there. I've been planning this for over a year, and if it weren't for you, I would have missed it. A few years ago, we lost one of our chapter members, Russ Maxwell. He was a fireman, killed in the Hartman fire. along with 2 others. The town lost their fire truck, but the county, with their limited budget, bought them an old 1970s fire truck as a replacement. Yes, I remember reading about that, Jack added. Wheels continued. We could never replace the lives lost, but we set up a scholarship fund for their kids. And I wanted to do more, so I took it upon myself to give something back to the community. It became a goal of mine to replace the fire truck with a brand new state-of-the-art model. Our chapter's been raising money from all types of events to meet that goal, and finally we reached the magic number of $825,000. The new fire truck will be delivered at the party in August, and I want you to be there, Jack. It would mean a lot to me. Sure, I'll be there. Can I bring somebody? Absolutely. Now let's get these papers signed, and to make this all legal, I'm putting you down as a contest winner. What contest? Pick a number between 1 and 3. 2? Jack said playfully. Congratulations, you won a Harley. It's a tax write-off for me, but you have to pay the taxes on the winning amount. Taxes? I have enough problems with taxes. Can't Yogi fix that somehow? What do you mean, Jack? It would be nice if Yogi could, adjust the books somehow. Jack, let me clue you in on something. Although I let Yogi get away with a lot of things, and I know he has a lot of, special abilities, he doesn't cheat in any form, shape, or manner, especially with my books. I run a legitimate business, and contrary to what people think of me, I have never been arrested in my life. I may cater to a lot of unsociable-looking characters, but I'd seek out their friendship in a time of need before some of my own relatives. I know Yogi bends the rules, even breaks them sometimes, but I also know, deep down, he has a great set of morals and a big heart. He's helped me with my own personal goals many times, you being one of them. Me? Yes, you. That night when you picked me up and took me to your home, you saved my life. I would have been fingered for what happened to that cop and held responsible, and I'd be sitting in jail right now if you hadn't taken that action. When I read your suicide note, it hit a special chord with me, so I took you on as a project. My father... Wheels stopped and looked off into the distance. My father had some unfortunate... Wheels paused again and swallowed hard and did not look at Jack when he restarted. When I was 8, my dad killed himself, and I was the one that found him. He hanged himself in the barn and left me, my mom, and my 2 sisters all alone. We struggled, but we made it. Jack could see Wheels' eyes swell up, and he felt uneasy that he took Wheels on this journey to bad memories from his past. Wheels took a deep breath and let it out slowly before continuing. After high school, me, Big Bear, that's Yogi's dad, and Billy, we went to business together fixing motorcycles. Billy and Bear got lucky with a few big scores and decided to roll the money into something legitimate. So we bought a small motorcycle shop because that's where our skills were. Billy and Bear were great mechanics, and I had a good head for business. And together we made things click. It worked great for a while, but it wasn't enough for Billy, and he continued with his get-rich-quick schemes on the side. We argued a lot about that, and it was hurting our friendship. He never really could adjust to a 9-to-5 job, and so Bear and I offered to buy Billy out, and he accepted. Then what happened? Well, Billy went his own way, and Bear and I continued to make the business grow. I saw Billy about 3 or 4 times a year at different events, but I didn't see him for almost 6 months until that night when he knocked on my door and asked me to go for a ride with him. I went because he acted like he was in trouble and needed my help. It turned out he recently made a big score and needed Yogi to help him complete this crazy plan he had. Unfortunately, Pesto, the cop, was involved somehow, and Billy was supposed to pay him off right after that heist, and we were sitting in a car. Billy was pleading for me to get Yogi to help him, and as we were arguing, Pesto pulls up behind us and demanded his money from Billy right then. I don't know why, but Billy went for his gun, and
Well, you know the rest.
Wheels, can I ask you a question? He paused, not knowing if he was overstepping his trust, and inquired, "What was in that bag?" Wheels looked at him and offered,
"False hope, prison time, and death."
"Aren't you worried that the cops will find your fingerprints in that car?"
"No, not one bit."
"Why not? Did Yogi hack into their computers and erase your prints?"
"Hey, when are you going to give me a break here? I told you that I'd never been arrested for anything in my life. Therefore, they have no fingerprints to compare to. However, I do understand that you have an arrest record. Possession of an alcoholic beverage by a minor, was it?"
"Wait a minute, that was over 35 years ago when I was a kid."
"I don't know, Jack. It doesn't look good for me to be hanging around criminals like yourself with your tough-looking beards and all. I need to find a better crowd to run around with."
Jack shook his head in embarrassment. "I'm sorry. I get your point. Don't judge a book by its cover. It's something I need to work on." Wheels pointed at Jack.
"Listen, I want to get serious for a moment. I trust that you will never repeat anything you heard here today."
"Don't worry. I'll never say a word. I can't. I was part of it."
"Good. I knew I could trust you. Now, there's something else we need to talk about. It's Yogi. He's the smartest kid. No, make that the smartest person I have ever met in my life. I had a hard time with him when Bear died and his mom took off. He went into his shell for about a year, and then we bought a new computer for the house. It became part of him. He escaped from reality through that screen. First games, then the internet, and finally he taught himself to write programs, and he learned how to hack into systems. He hated school, and it wasn't until he took an IQ test about 2 years ago that we discovered how smart he really is. He has 172 IQ. Turns out he was simply bored with school."
Jack listened attentively as Wheels paused for a moment and shook his head as the story took a different direction. Wheels continued.
"And he sunk deeper and deeper into the computer. His school attendance got worse and worse. He would ace all his tests, but his attendance was an issue we couldn't fix. One day he made this deal with me that if he could pass his GED and accelerate his education by taking college courses, then he wanted me to drop the issue. Of course, I said no, and I didn't hear about it for a long time. I figured all that school issues just went away. A year later, he brought it up again, and again I said no, and that's when he told me he hadn't been to school in 2 years. He received a perfect score on his GED, a 1580 on his SATs, and when he showed me his psychology degree from Stanford, I was dumbfounded."
"Did you ever think he might have gone into those tests and rigged the scores to make it look like he was that smart?"
"Yes, but I didn't want to say that in front of him, so I had Dr. Arnold Logan, a college professor who's a member of our chapter, come up with a written test for him to take. I told Yogi that if he got a 90 or better, we had ourselves a deal. The test covered all kinds of subjects from European art, ancient history, American literature, political science, chemistry, biology, and even quantum physics. It was senior level college material, and it wasn't all multiple choice either. 10% was essay, so we could test his writing abilities. He astounded us when he only had 4 wrong out of 200 questions. A 98. So I kept my word. I'm concerned for his future. He's dancing only a few steps on the right side of the law. Yogi likes you. He told me about your background and what you've accomplished in your life. I was hoping that maybe you could mention some of your goals that you set for yourself early on in your life and the challenges that you stood up to. You know, things like that. I'd really appreciate it."
"But he knows I was going to kill myself. What kind of example is that to influence a young kid?"
"All I know is that he told me that he likes you. You sat down with him and showed him some brain cloud techniques or something like that, and he ate that up. Even though he does have a psychology degree from Stanford, his FaceTime with real people and real situations outside of the Harley chapter are limited. I want you to be careful how you approach him with this. He can read people like a book. You have to let him lead the conversation. Make him think he's in control of this change. And I think you might get to him. His whole life, he's gone down the different road that everyone else ignores. But for him, that's the norm. He needs to see what's down the other fork in the road, the path that is normal for everyone else. I am asking you to guide him toward this normal life and see what happens. Do it for me. Do it for him. Do it for yourself.
After about 15 seconds of silence, Wheels added,
Oh, and by the way, I believe this is yours.
He took a plastic bag off of a jacket that was hanging behind him. It was one of those heavy black leather jackets with all the padding. Wheels turned it around and showed him the back. It had a big patch that had the Harley logo and Roaring Wheels Denver chapter, and it had the name Doc that Wheels had called him that fateful night. Jack was all smiles and put the jacket on. I'll get to Yogi somehow, I promise. Wheels nodded.
Okay. Now let's finish up the paperwork so you can go for a ride.
He signed all the papers to make his ownership official. He received a 1-year membership to the national chapter of HOG and a 1-year membership to the local Denver chapter. He gathered all his paperwork, picked up his accessories from Red, and put them in his car. He was now focused on going for his first ride. End Chapter 6.